eu não estava. Eu era o C, eu não estava. Não tive nada a ver com primário.
Há melhor que ser bonito.
Não há nada, mas também com
Eu acho que I'm not sure if we are going to check, but I think the idea was like, okay, we don't have anyone from share from our team, let's ask someone.
Patrícia! Podes só ver uma chamada por aí abaixo? Podes só ver se está tudo bem com o som? Olha, preciso ter.
Mas estás à espera de ter mais videoconferências?
Sim, a Parte vai tentar.
Pois. Olha, mas ele não vai ser daqui?
Não, vai ser a mesma coisa, este vai ficar sem som e vai ser
Tá. O Google não tem som.
perfeito, obrigada. Só se for não, pera.
Ok, agora está, outra vez. Eu estou a dizer para esta tarde.
Olha, o tablet é de quem? O iPad é não sei. Para chamar, está com este.
Tem um Yeti, pá, tem um Yeti.
Olha, minha querida, no início do ano eu perguntei-vos o que é preciso para mais. Mandaram uma pisada de sério. Microfone. Não, ninguém falou do microfone.
Chefe, parece que também não mais chefe.
Já está.
Ia tentar mudar para as aulas,
Olha, já consegui meter isto com boa qualidade. Agora não está porque nós viemos. Mas está, sim, está em HD. Olha, já não. Como é que fizeste ao problema? Afinal, foi uma cena. Afinal, foi mais rápido. Só para não sei se
Vai, menino! Logo à noite, é assim, é assim.
Não temos tempo.
Não há Deus, tem.
Tempo!
Taça! Chaleira!
Ainda falta um minuto.
É, vocês agora estão ali no cantinho.
Paulo Portas fecha a porta.
Okay, let's start with the quorum check. ISN Açores. ISN Algarve. ISN Aveiro. ISN Castelo Branco. ISN Coimbra. ISN Covilhã. ISN Évora. ISN Lisboa. ISN Minho. ISN Porto. ISN Tomar. ISN Otado. It's the first quorum check where we are. Okay, guys. As you all know, we are a little bit late. Okay, we are going to start right now, but I will apologize in advance because we have to be really strict with the time to present and the time to discuss. Okay, so if at sometimes I say we can continue. Okay, so if I say we can continue, it's because we can continue. Okay, and we can start when you are ready.
Estou ready, mas coloca para baixo. So guys, the proposal is to change from the proposal is to change the level of Algarve from the 21 to 23 of May to April from 2 to 4 because the National Board believed that is a more suitable date since we don't have exams anymore and we don't have queimas e bailaricos. And that as the
Okay, the Q&A is open. Okay, the Q&A is open. Is someone adding to the speakers list?
not loud.
It's not a question. Afonso,
Sim, podes.
não várias incrível. It's not a question because I'd like to thank you for adapting to our situation and everything. And I think it's really important that you guys are trying to have the events in some moments that we can have them. Of course, hopefully we'll have applications for the events also, but I'd like to appreciate that part.
More comments, questions? Okay, Tony.
Okay, it's a question. It's just for Bruno Cismeiras and me. Just for understanding how the process is like are you doing, okay, let me try to make it so I don't confuse myself. How do you decide who's the next session in line? And do you have a specific for this event? So for example, SME, local boards is SME stuff, or do you do just all the events and then you decide the rotation?
Technically, it's not rotation anymore. We changed that 2 years ago. It's representation. The National Board, when present the calendar, must be represent all the sections. Obviously, we can't make all the sections in 1 year calendar because we have more sections than events. In this case, for Level Up Algarve, we only changed the dates. SN Algarve was already receiving the event, and we keep the same section. When we talk about the distribution to decide if we make NP, LDM, Level Up, and so on, usually is a strategic thing. For example, we want SN birthday with partners. We already have the experience in making NP in Covilhã and take partners, and most of them didn't attend because it's too far and most of our partners are from Lisbon, Lisboa, Porto, so on. So, for example, we decide to have a birthday NP in Coimbra in 2 years. I think is Aveiro. So, it's a strategic thinking regarding the NP. Regarding the, and for example, to a source, each 2 years at least we have to have one P there, because at least we are sure that the sections will be there for the NP. And for example, for a training event without a grant, we are not sure if we'll have 10 people, because transportation and so on, and we have the example of the NP is a little expensive. So yeah, we take a lot of that in count. Another thing that we take in account is the grants that we applied. For example, I don't know. For example, the grant that we have for Castelo Branco is the same that we have for Covilhã, but it's a specific thing. So we decide that this kind of events, for example, will be Covilhã, Castelo Branco, so we can take more profit from the grant to get lower fees for the events or transportation. So yeah.
Do you feel like, sorry, can I go in? Can I?
Yes.
Do you feel like that kind of things, for example, that you do specific places because the partners are more there, is going to be disadvantage for other cities that also want to, for example, the SME is like super happy to organize events, but we don't have an event like for like next year plan and stuff. Do you feel like it's going to be advantage for yes and Aveiro, yes and Lisbon and Porto, they do more?
No, I don't believe it, because for example, you had an event 6 months ago.
Yeah, I was just asking.
So technically, you can. Let's be honest, guys. Everyone can take advantage from the event they receive. For example, SN Açores went to the radio or the newspaper. So you can project what you want for the event. You can bring partners, local partners, the municipality, the reitor da universidade, what you want. But you need to know and learn how to project the event. For example, SN Porto received the EIG. They promote the EIG with the city, probably they appear on the news, but the sections need to do that. You can't wait for the national board to promote the event in your city.
No, but that's
with
not
your
what
partners.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in a sense that you're saying that, for example, when you need events with partners, you do it more in the sense of the cities that you have more partners. Then it gives them more events than the other sections.
No, they don't have more events. All the sections have the same kind of the events. For example, the representative list was complete last year. However, now, for example, you had already the meetings when we planned the NP to be here. However, for example, in 2027, SN Minho will have an event, because you already have 2 events in 1 civil year. So basically, you are, for example, you are the priority to the 28 calendar to be in the list.
Okay, just to understand more.
To finish.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that was just to.
Porra, não dás tempo para mim.
Okay, I propose to close the speakers list.
No.
Okay, Carla.
I write it after. Just to inform, because during the other presentation that when we were talking about this topic, the NP Açores is just not answered yet in the endorsement. Because we are waiting for.
Amanhã explicamos isso.
Tá bem. Então,
Okay, I propose to close the speakers list now. If anyone oppose, the speakers list is closed. Carla, send by WhatsApp, okay, the question.
Tecnicamente,
Ah,
a
ok,
questão
ok,
dela
ok,
vai ser
ok.
respondida amanhã pelo
Certíssimo.
National Event Update.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we are going to continue to the next topic. Yes, and Porto, you can prepare. Guys, Okay, this is not working, but when I put my hands like this, you have to put it too, and it means we have to be silent. Okay.
Okay, guys. So we are here to discuss our proposal for some changes into the current events policy paper. Yeah, maybe. It's better now? Yes. Yeah. So our changes are focused around cementing the role of the main organizer, that, as Edgar said, was something that was introduced this year and we feel adds a lot of value to the event. And also just a little preamble, like another presentation is going to go, since Claudia also asked us in the audit team opinion, Claudia and Giuseppe, of course, and the audit team opinion, like we are going to also do the comparison with the national board proposal for the events policy paper, so already have a better idea of what are the differences between those proposals, and also that in the case of both of them getting approved eventually, we need to have a discussion and then try to clarify some things that might be contradictory. Like from our side, obviously we are super, like we are never gonna hang up that consultation for like small details. Obviously everything that is structural significant, we need to defend our proposal the same way for you. But I think we all want to agree a consensus and reach a conclusion as soon as possible if both proposals are approved. So just a bit of motivation behind our proposal. Like as I said, it was about cementing this main organizer role, and the major difference here is to have it appointed by the federation. So have an electoral process for the MO. We believe that above everything else, this can bring a lot of new discussions to the federation about something that has been an ongoing topic for a couple of years now, and we believe this is the next step to have those discussions and actually be able to implement some changes. Also, for us, we already discussed a lot how important it is for that MO to have voice at every J, so some of the changes also mentioned that, and to have a clear, transparent and accountability system for that main organizer. Sorry. Okay, so we'll go article by article. The changes are the ones that are highlighted, and we have always a small comment for what is the national board comparison from their proposal. So yeah, basically the first one is just that we split the article 10 into two, 10A and 10B, 10B being the description and 10A being the one that defines our main organizer role. This is very similar to the national board proposal, so they just have the description and a main organizer article separated, but it's basically the same organization. So for the definition of main organizer, so in the left I put just some like a summary of what each line means. So first one is the definition. Here a key change is that in the national board proposal the word used is supervised. Here we use it in more of a support, so it has a different hierarchy feeling to it. It's a more side-by-side relation, and also we put there that it's acting as the primary decision maker, which is something that is not on the other proposal. For eligibility, it's just being an active member of yes and Portugal, and although it is advised to have some experience in ENM, we believe that it's something that should be for the federation to decide upon the electoral process and not something that should impede someone from applying. For the electoral process, there's a big article, also it's defined by whatever other electoral processes that we have. One change that I made already from the original document that was in the audit team's opinion was from changing that deadline from, if no one is elected, from 60 days to 90 days to make sure they have enough time to actually get the General Assembly going. So that's already changed. After we finish the topic, I will also send the updated version so you guys can check with all the changes that is also proposed, hopefully in the discussion phase. Yeah, like that part is definitely the most changing aspect of our proposal, and we really stand by it. Okay, so for required documents that you need to apply, it's similar to what goes in board applications, for example, or other statutory bodies. Yes, and curriculum, an application form, which includes a motivational statement and also an organizational proposal. The minutes of a meeting from a federated member. It doesn't have to be a GA, or it can be just the minutes from one meeting that you have. We know that's hard for everyone to organize GAs and extraordinary GAs if it's not planned according to the deadlines. So we just want to make sure that you have the support from your section, and that we are happy with that. And then It's the same for, like, you just need to deliver these minutes 24 hours before the beginning of the GA. For term of office, it begins immediately upon that appointment and ends at the first ordinary general assembly of the subsequent year held after the ENM edition. So after the ENM you present the report, and then at the other GA your term ends. Okay, so for core duties and responsibilities, we have a lot of them. But also here, I think it's important to highlight some of the differences between our proposal and the National Board proposal. So, for example, a key one that we already discussed is that our includes the GA coverage for the MO to present the updates during the year. And there's add some additional duties, like presenting the event plan at a local board scope, so it's a different version of our take on updates. Complying with the budget approved by the National Treasurer. Here, I believe it's also important to mention that the budget is not approved by the National Treasury, it's approved by the Federation. The National Treasury proposes a budget that may or may not be approved by the Federation. That is the budget that must be complied with all the time. Complying with the confidential agreement and being present during pre and post event periods. Like for a year, for sure, like we like for this one, the pre and post events, we believe we can also add if both proposals are approved. Like it's not something we are against. Then this is the resignation clauses. It's also similar to the National Board proposal. Theirs is a bit more simplified, only to sub-provisions. Whereas the scenarios based on what the state of the OC is, if the OC is already formed or not, that is the key difference. We have also for removal, so if the Federation feels the MO is not doing a good job, they can propose a removal from that role, and those are the terms to summon that removal. So this is something that is not included in the other proposal. Like also maybe it doesn't make a sense that it's someone that is appointed by the National Board in the other vision. So for compatibility is also very similar to what was presented, but with a key difference that the NB proposal permanently exempts all members of the SN Portugal National Board from this clause. Ours limits it to an exemption to interim and temporary situations only. So we believe it does not make sense for a member of the National Board to hold that position full time. And yeah, this is just a general catch-all to finish the MO. So if something is not directly covered by the article, that it should be resolved by a joint decision of the SN Portugal National Board and the Vice President for Development in accordance to general principles of this regulation. Okay, so Article B, for the description, we changed the supervision of the organizing committee under the MO now, with the support of the Vice President for Development. That is just an update from the previous terminology that was event manager. Yeah, the National Board proposal as the OC as under the supervision as the VPD instead of the MO. For registrations, we added that the main organizer should also be managing the registrations platform if they so choose. That the free places granted to sections based on sales performance should be consulted also with the main organizer, although we stand super in with the proposal to give the free SD spots to the section. Is something that we have talked a lot in the past 2 years for that change, so that change will obviously welcome it and it can replace this clause in that case. For guests also managed and approved by the main organizer with the Vice President of Development, and the registration and payment period also determined by the main organizer in conjunction with the National Board and the OC. So it's just that adding that main organizer to some of these responsibilities that we feel someone in charge of the event should also have some say in them. For fee and deposits, this is just it was mainly terminology changes. Like we have the deposit fixed. We didn't change it. It is changed now for all the reasons that was already mentioned. Something that obviously we would not oppose. It's not a major structural change. And the same with the name change that we already covered in the previous topic. Okay, so for organization, here we have the timelines a bit different because the National Board proposal focuses or centers their timeline around the event, and ours is centered around the election of the main organizer. So after we elect the main organizer, you can start doing the OC, instead of being a set date before the event. Like in practice, this doesn't account to much of a difference. It's just our proposal is centered around that, so it makes sense for our timelines to also align with that. Yeah. So we request the report at least 21 days before the first ordinary GA after the event. We understand that because of grants, it's not always the best solution, and we realize this, and it's not always easy to close the event. So maybe we can add a provision or find a middle term between our proposals if both are approved, because there's something that with all the situations that have been going on, that is also relevant. Yeah, I think here again just fixing the main organizer for also the composition of teams, adding the provision that the main organizer can consult local boards of the section to have opinions on volunteers. It's not expected someone in the federation to know everyone from everywhere, and it's important to have that provision. And also that composition of teams is done obviously with the Vice President for Development, with the support of the National Board, as it makes sense. They are the people that are at the national level working on a federation that know our volunteers, and that knowledge cannot be thrown away. Yeah, that's it from Article 16, organization. Here it's the same between both of our proposals. It's just an update on the terminology of events manager to Vice President of Development. Okay, for expenses. We added that organizational expenses is responsibility of the SN Portugal Treasurer, the SN Portugal Vice President of Development, and the main organizer. Here, as we said, this always has to go according to the budget approved by the Federation at any given time for Erasmus National Meeting. And we also incurred some reimbursement clauses on the expenses incurred by volunteers in the context of the NM organization. This can be, it's mainly transport, but it can be other things that sometimes happen. We have added some deadlines, so everyone is clear on what they should do to reimburse, when they should do it also. Yeah. The major difference here is the National Board proposed adds the fourth clause, that is, if the volunteer does not comply with the reimbursement rules, the reimbursement will not be processed. Okay, so that's just a summary now to wrap things up before we go to questions. So Article 10A, it's the major change regarding the main organizer and all of its definition, the electoral framework, resignation, removal, and incompatibilities. 13 registrations is adding the MO to the guest places approvals. The free places of the now SDs is also something that it's a bit outdated with, but we agree with the proposal of giving the SDs the spot, so we can also update that instead of having it be like this and fix that proposition already. And yeah, this is like the organization is mainly regarding dossier composition, involving the main organizer more heavily in that discussion, consulting the local board's provision. Yeah, and the deadlines is the change that we make from the original one, but in practice you know that it's not that big of a difference, because it's just our current reality already works like that. And Article 19, the major change was regarding the volunteer reimbursement rules, which we believe was important for clear accountability from everyone involved. So yeah, thank you guys.
So, similarly to the National Board's proposal, this is a very strategic document, so the audit team cannot pronounce regarding that part. What we tried to analyze was, again, the coherence between things, and we give some suggestions that were taken into consideration regarding the dates for things that could not work really well in practice. So it was suggestions, they could accept it or not, but they are already implemented. So, to talk about a little bit of what's going to happen if both proposals are approved. It's going to be, it's not an easy process, because we cannot just collare things, you know, glue things together, because that doesn't work. So we have to take in consideration the proposal from ESN Porto and integrate it in the main document. Okay, this in case both proposals are approved. The language comments that I made, like the wording and stuff. Some of the things I read in ESN Porto's proposal initially are not like straightforward to understand. So, and some of the like concepts that we are used to use in official documents of ESN Portugal. So, but that's, I'm not saying that's a bad job from their part. Like it's super normal, and that's why we are also here to help and to integrate this in the main document. Okay, but it's just for you to understand. Okay, it's super normal, but probably when you see the final version, it's not going to be word per word of everything that is said in there. But the proposal itself, it has to be, you know. So it's because like if it was approved, so the idea and the rules has to be what they proposed. But the wording might need a little bit of adaptation so it can be integrated and be a true complete document, one document, and not two proposals that were just glued together. Okay. Okay. That yeah, I'm going. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
It's sort of a procedural question, so can I ask her?
Yes.
Or like do I have to write it?
Yes.
You have to
Yes, good.
You have to write, yes.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so the speaker.
No.
No? Ok, então podes.
So like, if both are approved and I'd like to match the documents, my question was like, the final document has also to be voted on?
Yes. In my opinion, yes. So. Okay. Because it's kind of tricky. Because like, imagine that when we merge the documents, they are not exactly like it was supposed to be. Even though I propose it to be like one member of the National Board, one member of ESN Porto, and one member of the audit team to assure that both proposals are truly represented in the document, even though mistakes can happen. And I believe that the sections should vote again for the whole document. However, since the proposals were already approved in this national platform, the rules apply already. You know what I'm saying? So even though the final documents have to be voted, the rules that were approved are already in effect.
But if they're in collision, how are they both?
No, they can never be in collision.
Those ones need to be ironed out. Like,
Imagine, the National Board proposal, it's a whole document. So that's why it needs to be voted first, okay? If it's approved, and their amendments have to be approved one by one. So you can choose, you want to approve that specific amendment of ESN Porto, or you want to stay with the one already approved from the main document, okay? So, and you can never approve something that is contradicting other thing that is already approved.
But if we're voting today and
Yeah.
it was approved, we are voting on a thing that's not the same. So either one is above the other, or
No.
they're both in conflict.
Huh?
I would like to propose, if it's possible, to make, as we do at ESN International, we make the amendments that we are proposing of ESN Portugal, and if approved, we have the amendment to the amendment. Okay? So basically, if the new national activities policy is approved, then we have the amendments to already the existent and approved national activities policy. If it's possible, and if it doesn't collect.
No.
But then we need to write
The amendments to the
documents
amendments.
in the moment. We
No,
have
it's
to.
already, that's
The
what I'm
wording.
saying, if not, if it's not colliding one with each other. If it is not possible.
Is it possible to vote on a
Can
document
I
today?
make a question?
Yes.
First of all, because I didn't understand before, are we voting for the changes you are proposing in the end or not? Because you said that the document is not ready to be voted for legal reasons, and you propose it together with the no. In the previous topic you said something about your document.
No, it was the standing order.
It was for the previous topic.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So my only correction on this is we are proposing for this to be added to the main document and replace it. We are not proposing to make change by change. So the voting is for this to replace the current document, not to go by change by change. This is what.
But if we are changing the document, we are basically throwing this document.
No, of course. I'm saying for the scenario of what we came here. We came with a proposal that this one we replace the document that it's already there. Now, if the other document will replace, it's happening all of this.
Okay, but it was just for, imagine that in a specific article they preferred like your proposal, then it stays. But then in other article they preferred the other way, like is established from national board. Do you know what I'm saying?
But then we are open to discuss now to hear their feedback and try to change it.
Okay, no, we need to continue.
Yeah.
Okay, the speakers list is open. Edgar.
Diz-me qual é a questão que eu não lembro.
Budget approvals.
When will the budget be approved by the NP? Don't will the budget be approved in November affect the agreements from the previous year already made? How will ESN Portugal secure that partnership and agreement?
I'm making this question because, for example, as in Portugal, in the end of this event, we have until end of August, beginning of September, to pay 7K to the hotel. If the budget need to go to the General Assembly, that means the budget will be approved probably in November. However, with your proposal, if the main organizer is elected on July, we have 3 months to present the OC. That means end of September. Technically, the teams have 1 month to make the budget to present in the NP to be voted.
Okay. No, but like when we talk about the budget from ENM, we're talking about the line in the budget from the OBS in Portugal. Those expenses then are managed by the OC in conjunction with the national board, like it always goes. So like I don't like if the budget needs to be approved like it does all the time. It's our proposal doesn't change anything regarding to that. I really don't. I don't think I understand the question maybe, but.
I was thinking that you are talking about the budget of the event.
No, I'm talking about
the line.
I'm talking that the budget of the event must comply with the one that is from the federation. Like that is the point.
Okay. You can do your second question, please.
With better English.
Que qual?
Spots distribution. Since last year,
Tá aqui.
Não, reimbursements.
Okay.
distribution.
Distribution.
Hey.
So, you already said that you prefer to change to assign spots. However, this question came, why do you think that is more transparent or more just for the sections to have the spots distribution in your proposal given and assigned by the main organizer and not already secured in the document?
Like what you want to answer? Yeah, but
it's basically from what we had talked with our alumni and stuff like that, they had already tried to propose this and it didn't go forward after a lot of discussion. So what we came here is to make the change of the vice president with the change with the main organizer and not change things that might not get approved by asking other people. In our opinion, it should be always paid by ESN Portugal and we can change it. But the idea of not changing, it was because of all the discussions that happened the last 2 years and we follow that sections we didn't have conclude to the point of we are paying because we weren't sure about the budget, but now we feel that the budget is already good enough for every section to have a representative for free.
Okay. Only to react to this. Last year we had a discussion, never we had a proposal for any section to implement that in FPP, RAM,
No, but like in this we are in agreement. Like we believe that it should be covered, and we can update this clause because that's what. If it's also your proposal makes sense for us to be aligned on that also, to be clear for everyone. Thank
Okay. Tiago.
My question is about 10A7 something.
Can you?
In the situation that the MEO resigns and the organizing committee is already been finished, you say that the national board appoints the existing OC as to assume the role of MEO. My question is about like if the regional MEO had to like present a candidacy to the national platform, how like congruent is that to replace that with someone who's just an OC and not someone elected?
Okay. It's a great question. Like I think the problem here is that if that happens as a resignation or a removal, also in our document there's that possibility. Like it's really hard like to go over a whole electoral process with because the event is already having the vision of that person that was presented to the federation. So we believe that a member of the OC will follow that vision. Obviously, it might not be the same profile of people. It might not be the same, but it's much more damaging to the federation to have to go all through that after the OC is already picked, after the event is already in motion, after the vision is already being implemented. To go over that process of maybe even restructuring the whole event is not feasible. So we believe it makes sense to have someone that can carry out the original vision that was elected by the federation, rather than having the possibility to re-elect a completely different vision that might not be able to be implemented and may damage the quality of the event.
Filipe.
Follow-up
Yes.
question. If the OC is already picked and someone from the OC goes to the main organizer, do you still have to open again an open call to replace that OC that moved up to the main organizer?
Yes, like the calls are not fully covered by document. That is something that is managed event by event. But yeah, like I think it will depend on 99.9% of the case. You always need someone to replace that person. Like, the numbers are in the end. You always need a lot of people, and if you move someone up, someone must step up also to replace.
One more. And
Yeah. In that event, if we are open again an open call for the OC that is now vacant, why don't open again the main organizer position, even if the OC is already chosen?
Okay, like I think it's a different procedure in terms of we need the G8 for the MBO to be approved. If it's that goes again in the OC, it doesn't work like that. It's then the decision made by the national board with conjunction with the main organizer from our proposal. Like if you believe, also Tiago had that question, so maybe if you believe that is something that is really important for that clause to be changed, we are happy to do it. We wrote the way that we feel would damage the event the least. I would continue the original vision that was elected. So for us, if you want to propose something, we are okay to change it. But yeah.
Edgar.
Can I add something?
Sorry, just a second.
Okay. Yes.
And to add something on this, it's because we want to overstep the possibility of the main organizer needs to quit 1 month before the event. That 1 month before the event, 2 months before the event, everything is already on time. So it's really hard to do an extraordinary GA for this. And we believe by stepping up on top and try to open a position again to the network, it's a bit more sustainable for the event.
Okay. Edgar.
So,
Sorry. Okay.
It's okay, I can write. It's just the same thought.
so following the question of Philippe, regarding the VPD, for example, resign. So you are saying that you are taking someone from the OC to put in the VPD, not the main organizer, in the place of the main organizer?
Yes.
So, but in which way that is fair for a person that need to present a candidacy to be elected, and now will be chosen one person from the OC to be the main organizer?
That's what we were saying. Like we did it in a way that we felt was most sustainable for the event. Maybe it's not it's not the most universal way to do it when you have an election. But you also believe, or we believe as a federation, we elect someone. That person is in the discussions for who goes to OC, is in the discussions for how the event is planning. So it also makes sense to elect someone to put someone that was under that guidance. But as you said, if you believe it's something that can cause a lot of problems,
But that, for example, was the same. I put Cristiana in my place for VPD, so she's working above me. And another thing, for example, you talked, I think this was a mistake of speaking, because you say that is a thing that need to be decided between the main organizer and the national board. But if the main organizer resign, shouldn't make decisions if we want to open the call to a main organizer or not. So it's not congruent.
no, that's I think you can give that feedback to the national board if you from those season already, but ultimately the people that are staying should have that final say.
Okay, you can do your question, Edgar, about expenses.
You talk about the reimbursement of the expenses, and since the event already covered the accommodation and the travel expenses and the meals are paid, which kind of expenses can we expect here?
This is just in cases like, for example, for the transport, what we mean by reimbursement is like, the transport is paid also, the volunteer puts the money in first and then it's reimbursed. This is in those scenarios, like for example, when you, sometimes in this end we had to order something that was with our volunteer money, it's not the best practice obviously, but with deadline sometimes it's needed because, as you said, not everyone has availability all the time, and we wanted to get those things done. So it's just for those specific cases where the volunteer puts money to the event, that is from the event, like it's not anything else, but that's it.
Sarah.
The second is same to mine. Could you please clarify the criteria to earn a free spot? Because I think the sales performance really reflects of the reality of the section. For example, tomorrow, and I'm going to be really realistic with these numbers, like we have 30 Erasmus, so if we sell 10, 15 spots, it's a great sales performance to us.
Of course.
And comparing to a larger section, 300, 400 Erasmus, and they sell more than half of spots, will they earn, like, are they more able to earn the free spot than us? Like, what is the performance?
Just to clarify, like that is something that was already in the original document. It's something that, as Ari said, that we wanted to, it was brought up in the past to change, and we are in favor of that change, and in a change of that the ST spots are covered for the sections, and to have those representatives from all the sections, no matter what their sales is, and that is what we are going to put in the final proposal. So, is it clear? No?
Okay,
Yeah.
Is this one more really
Is one add something?
We really believe on what you're saying. It doesn't matter how many tickets you have. From the time that you have people from your people from your city, people that they are supporting your ESN section, they should have an ESN representative there to be with them.
Okay. It's just a really small. I know you focus a lot in E&M. I would like to know why not apply this process in ENG.
Like we talked about this in the local board call, it was also a question asked there. Like this took us 2 months to do, like to consult alumni, to consult some of other international trips that also occur from other places in the network. So it's really hard to have all the availability in the time to like, I don't believe it's our role to reinvent the events policy paper. We had this specific change about the main organizer that we really believed, and we wanted to put a lot of extra work that is not by definition on our like job description, let's say like that, and we wanted to do that effort because it was something that our section really wanted, and that we felt also to represent them and to put something into a topic that has been going into the air and put a bit of fresh life to it and bring those changes. Obviously, like I thought, for me personally, like as someone that works in area of events, I would love to have time to go over a lot of these changes and to propose a lot of different things. But the reality is I don't have time to do it. Like it's really hard. You do a lot of research. It's a lot of going back and forth on the writing, on the objective of what you want to do. So yeah, I hope like maybe this can inspire also other sections that have different visions, and we can bring those talks into the federation.
Nuno.
So, Andreas and Quimera, first of all, I'd like to thank you and congratulate you for this initiative. I really think it's really important that you guys try to better the NM. And so my question is, organizing the So don't you think that electing someone that is working like just for NM isn't might decrease people's willingness to apply for VBD?
Like basically, it's not that we want to take the power of anyone. We believe that a national board, a local board, and every board should be there more about structuring and doing things. It's really hard for a person, and VPD is not only for ENF, it has 1,100 events that it's organizing, and it's already too much work. It's way better for a person that has a position with so many commitments to have the ability to take a step back, overseeing the job of all the volunteers of the federation, because this is not an NP, this is not an LBM, it's the biggest event for the federation that involves international students and volunteers and everyone. It's way easier in our perspective and in our opinion for this person to be there overseeing everything and have the hands of the people that they applied for it, they got elected from the federation and stuff like that, to working on the event. And it's not that it will not get involved. There is not any single event that the vice president of development won't get involved, because it's the area. But like, if we believe, if we want change for the best of the events, for the best of the federation, we can't put so much like work into one person, because we will never see change in the structure. It's 1 year. This person will not have time to do everything.
Okay, Pedro Almeida and then Isabel.
Okay, so Pedro Almeida is in Portugal. You are saying that you want for the VPD to have more a strategic role, which is true, because the national board has the responsibility of being strategic, not executive. But I think that what is happening right now is exactly that. The change that was made and what is happening right now is that we have a committee, we have the MO, which is the chief, the head of the committee, and is for the VPD to already have more time to think strategic in the strategy for the federation and not in the terms of execution and everything. And that's what it's already done. But if you want to move some part of the strategy of the VPD to the MO, you are giving the strategic power of the national board to a support position or to a committee.
Like what we say is also important. It goes also a bit with Nuno's question. Is that this also allows for you to have a more strategic vision on a more long-term plan and a more long-term restructure. You don't have to worry so much about every day decisions that happen in the of course of organizing an event, and you can focus on the structural or passing the play on Nazmir, structuring the restructure of the event on a more long-term basis, something that we have discussed. And I feel that having the VPD really involved in every day-to-day task and every small decision that is needed really hinders, because you don't have the time to do everything. It really hinders that possibility of a more longer-term restructure and more longer-term vision for changes that the event needs. Also in that strategic role, that part is really important, and we believe for specifically that topic, that this proposal really enhances that.
Okay, Isabel.
Okay, I just want to highlight something that I said. You were saying that...
Louder.
I'm sorry. You were saying that... It's okay?
Yes. Perfect, perfect.
You were saying that the VPD now can step back. I think that for the good of the federation, we should approach this situation in another perspective. It's not the stepping back of the VPD, but it's giving the support to the VPD. Because we don't want one to highlight the other one, we want to cooperation between the different teams. So when you're saying that stepping back, we shouldn't get that approach. I just want to make this clear.
I agree 100% with you. And stepping back, of course, I wasn't meaning from the position, but I was meaning from the daily task, because it's too much. What you're saying is way better. Thank you for making it clear for everyone.
Ines, Jose.
Okay. So my question is more about interpretation. And so first of all, thank you for taking into consideration all our opinions and comments. One of the things that we discuss is the need for the treasurer to still have decision-making capacity over the budget. And since there's still an article saying that the MO has final decision Parte, doesn't that create a bit of ambiguity about what that means?
No, I think it's like it's always it's gonna be like obviously as a national treasure, you are the statutory body responsible for the finance of the federation. That includes, of course, your name. We believe that I'm talking more in the sense of these decisions that we take on the event that are not affecting the budget of it. So it's not that the treasurer doesn't have any input or that only the treasurer has input. We believe is that it needs to be cooperation, like Isabel said, but also the treasurer. So to clarify, of course, the treasurer has a lot of reign over the finances of the event, but we don't want that to overrule the power or the vision of the MO. So we know that the budget is approved by all of us. So as long as the treasurer needs to make sure that the MO is complying with that approved budget. That's how it works in terms of the power relation between those two. So I don't know like how to express it better in terms of decision making. But obviously the treasurer cannot allow an MO to go against the budget approved by the federation. I don't know if answers your question.
Pedro Almeida.
So my question is exactly about this because it has many levels, because you said like that you see more in this in terms of collaboration, and okay, it should be, and it is already, despite the problems that occurred during this year, but because they were interims. However, how do you ensure that if by some decision made by the MO, and not specifically financial decisions, so like it is very easy to look at the budget and see, do we have the money for it, yes or no? But if there is another strategic decision, because now the BPD would have the strategic dimension, and is by some strategic decision, the MO takes this decision and something goes really wrong, and the SM portal turns out to be in debt or even losing 10,000 euros in the profit of the event. The national board would not be the one accountable for it in your terms, and in terms of legal matters outside of ESM, because it is impossible. Like, as president right now, if it would happen, it would be me.
Sorry, you are asking if they would not be accountable?
No,
or
they
will.
will. But how do you ensure that, for example, I will give my personal opinion right now regarding this. Me as president of ESM Portugal, if the MO took some decision and turns out to something goes really wrong, and it was not my decision, however, it's going to be me, the one accountable for the decision and for the debt of ESM Portugal. And it doesn't even need to be in ESM Portugal hold the ESM Portugal in debt. It might just be lose a little money of the event. Just by that, we would have to fire our secretariat. It wouldn't be the main organizing making this decision. It would be the national board. But by the consequences of actions that we did not prosecute.
Okay.
And I would not.
So I think, the way that the articles is written, there's rarely a decision that is based only on the MO and that you can take without even considering your opinion. So if we agree that cooperation, that there's always going to be the decisions are going to be made with both parties aware, and obviously sometimes you are going to have to do some concessions, and sometimes them you are going to have some concessions on their vision. You're not going to always be 100% aligned with any person ever. So I think I don't see that, because the MO is not taking decisions by himself. The articles are clear, they always put the MO in support with someone else, in conjunction with someone else, alongside someone else. So it's rare for me to find a case that someone is going rogue and doing a decision that the national board goes super against. Like, but
Pedro Almeida.
But the document that you are presenting says the main organizing is the
decision maker.
Exactly, with the support of the VPD. So the VPD would have the least word in it. So the main decision maker would be the main organizer. However, if something goes wrong, even if the national board doesn't make any opinion regarding this, we can say like, oh, do it, whatever, or have no opinion, express literally no opinion. And if it goes wrong, the responsibility is IDSN. Okay, we can put the responsibility on the main organizing, despite the person might decide to not pay anything or what. But at the end of the day, it will be the national board, especially the president and the treasurer, to go to court and decide what to do and be accountable for it, or make any other decisions to cut the budget of ESM Portugal for other important things.
That's the.
Without something that we didn't do.
For real, I don't know if you read, I don't have it now, but like if it goes point by point, there is nowhere the power of the main organizer to pay things and to pay expenses and stuff like that, and everywhere it's with the support, because it's something that will happen all together. Like, in my personal opinion, because we haven't discussed, it's a question that you're making here, I can't find any point that I will be the main organizer and I will decide to spend 10,000 euros without having the bank account, without having anything. If I come to you, to the national board as a main organizer and say, I want this party to have this thing more, because I believe it will be better for our international students and more attractive. There, it's where the treasurer goes, and we like, those money are inside the budget and we can spend. But those money are crazy money, we don't have, we are a federation, we will not spend. There is nowhere, anywhere for the main organizer ever pay something alone without the support of the Vice President of Development, Treasurer and the National Board.
Last comment and then we have to continue.
Yes, but that's exactly, I'm not saying that financial, maybe more strategic things and decisions that will go beyond the budget. But for example, even if it is a financial thing, if the MO has the final decision, if the MO decides to spend that money, even if it's inside the budget, by what is written, the treasurer may not deny it. And if you were saying like that you don't have anything that says that the MO has to pay in case of debt or loss of money. But legally, if ESM Portugal goes bankrupt or in debt, I have this on me.
No, I
I
said.
have to pay from my pockets.
No, I said that the main organizer is not paying anything without the approval of the treasurer. Not that is not paying everything in case we go bankrupt, because we will not go bankrupt, because the treasurer will be still there supporting and overseeing the whole budget. The budget is already voted from the federation, and it's just small things that they will happen. And I'm sure, I believe, in my opinion, a main organizer will never change all the ANM in 1 year. It will be together with the vice president, and this is why the whole document has them always together. We don't want to take, and I'm saying it to everyone, not just for you. We don't bring a change to take power from the national board and from the people that they were elected. We're just making the change that we believe, after the 2 years that there are discussions in ENM, that will help us trying to improve the event. One change is not going to change the federation in 1 day, but change is small and small, that they will go together. We will one day see a big change, and it will be good for our federation.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to give the word to Isabel because she has a question related with this. But before a comment. So before I propose to close the speakers list, because we have more 7 questions and 8 minutes. So can I? Anyone oppose? No. Okay. The speakers list is closed. Isabel, you can.
I just want to highlight one thing that I think that it's on the line what Pedro was saying. There's some strategic decisions that can cost money to ESN Portugal besides making expenses. And that is the point that Pedro wants to achieve. It's not because the MO can't pay something that can't give and can't arm ESN Portugal and can't give expense, extra expense or over budget. Even that is not directly, I cannot say the word that I was thinking, can ruin some partnerships, some cooperation, some things that will directly affect the national board, and mainly the face of the national board that most of the times is the president. I think was the line that he wants to go.
Yeah.
Tony.
Remember my question?
About Article 16. About Article 16.
Okay. First off, Katarina said me. First off, I would like to thank all of you for bringing this, topic up, because only through discussion and everything do we achieve something. But to my question. My problem is in Article 16, because it says the organizing committee is composed of teams chosen by the main organizer in cooperation of the VPD and the rest of the national board. My question is, if the VPD and the main organizer have, a conflict, move to the national board then are
other 6. So like it becomes almost an 8-person discussion. I really don't have, I guess.
I will answer the second question after.
Yeah, yeah.
No, like I think this is just validating a bit what happens now. Well, like obviously, people have different experiences with other volunteers, and then puts like their proposal for what can be the team, but the national board is the national board. So I think it's this, like it's just guaranteeing that MO is put in this conversation. It's just writing what already happens now, but making sure that it is there and that it is clear that MO should have a seat at that table. But obviously we're not gonna agree, and yeah, the national board needs to make that one.
Não dá, Pedro Almeida.
Second.
Não dá, Pedro Almeida, se vamos fazer isso.
Second question about
E a tua pergunta, is your
the feedback on local boards. Like I think this can be something informal or more formal as you prefer. Can be a WhatsApp text. Can be if you want to organize a call with them, with all the volunteers that apply for ENM and ask specific details. This is just a provision that to remind you that if you are the MO and you can do that if you don't know the volunteers. Just that.
Pedro Almeida, your question.
I felt threat. So don't you think that by having to pass through all this process by apply for a domain organizing will impact the number of applications? Because right now we usually don't receive any applications, usually just one, and we don't have anywhere from where to choose already. So with this could be even worse, especially to small sections that have fewer human resources to spend the time with.
I think there's two things here. For a person to apply to MO or VNM, it means they are a very resilient person, and I don't believe that ending a couple of documents will be the thing to deter them, because if a person is competent to organize ENM, I'm sure that they can also organize a good candidacy to present to the Federation their ideas and listen and improve that original idea. The second is, I think it's the other way around. I think now you have a role that is more central, that is more, gives you more ability to apply your vision, and I believe that will bring more applications. That is what we believe in terms of giving that position to the MO that he has to be here. It's a responsibility role, and it does give them more responsibilities to have to present to the national platform. Like, it is not easy, we understand that. But we believe that a person that is motivated to have that vision, this proposal enhances the number of candidacies that you will apply. And yeah, I think we all gain from having more candidacies, as you said.
Matilde.
Okay, so my question was regarding
Matilde.
Matilde Enthusiast number, sorry. Was regarding the discussion from previous discussion. So in case of the resignation of the main organizer, when it is close to the event, the proposal is to make someone of the OC a main organizer and then replace someone like open the call for the OC. Wouldn't it be easier to just like do it if there's no one MU elected and put it on VP? Because even though the whole purpose and the whole purpose of having a main organizer is not to put that charge on VP, but you know they have to review everything. They have to be on the go with DNM. So wouldn't that be easier than taking someone?
Yeah. So I think what we struggle during the proposal is that it's very hard to describe what is close to the event. It's not a structural timeline or a structural time period that you can put 30 days, 15 days. It's very different, and depends a lot of how much of the work is already done. So it's really hard to define that in a certain clause. Our provision though has a thing that it allows you to be interim as VPD. It has that possibility. It says on a temporary basis, but if it's 2 weeks before the event, I think that classifies as a temporary basis. Also, it doesn't give you a time period to elect MO from the staff. So imagine something happens to the MO the day before the event, like you are the VPD and you are not disrespecting what it says in the proposal.
Filipa.
Filipa Silva, yes, I'm
And please be concise.
Under the incompatibility rules, the main organizer of the event must resign from one of the 2 national positions they hold. What is the reason behind limiting the eligibility of individuals holding, for example, support positions? As I understand it, a member of a local board will still be allowed to run for the position position of MO, even though these roles typically involve a considerable heavier workload than a support position, given that why are the support positions specifically restricted?
Like basically the idea behind this, it's not something to take off possibilities from other people to apply, but like support positions has already a lot of work. They are doing a lot of things for the federation, and at the same time there is going to be a person elected that the federation will expect a lot of things for this person. So we don't believe that it's easy inside ESN Portugal to have two positions. Like it's already some demanding, and it's really good that you want to get involved to more things. But sometimes it's good to realize what is better for us as volunteers, because I will be honest on my opinion. It's not healthy to have two super hard positions at the same time. Like we are volunteers and we need to understand the limits. But of course, if people want to do, it's okay. But at the same time, it's really hard in two positions, really demanding on the same organization, because it's different to be local board on your local section and a position of the federation. So it's kind of, because it's not, I don't know how to explain it better if you understand, but like imagine your support position and main organizer. It's not easy for you to handle all the work. And like, yes, please, like we really want to understand their opinion, because we want to make the change.
Yeah, I think what she's trying to ask is just what's the difference between like sport position and like local board position? Like what's the difference? Because we know that we are local boards and we will all overload. Sometimes we are, and like what's the difference?
In my perspective, like, and Afonso and the other people can talk a little bit, it's different to be local board of ESN Porto and support position of ESN Portugal, and it's different to be MO of ESN Portugal and support position of ESN Portugal and something else. Like inside the federation, it's good that we're keeping one role at the time, just this, but Afonso can also add.
I think it's also a matter of questioning that questioning that during the candidacy of that person. I think it's super fair to ask someone if they are local board, if they think they have time to be MU or VNM, and I think it should be, if something like that applies, it should be a focal point that the federation asks that person. I think it's hard in a national document to limit a local thing or a local position, but also I believe that it's not compatible to be local board and MU or VNM, but I don't think in the national document we can limit local board members, like for example.
Okay, Carolina.
Hello. Carolina lives in Portugal. First, I was going to congratulate you for coming up here and presenting this. I know it's not easy, and we have some different opinions, so that is also really good. But my question is comparing the national level with the local level, where normally the board or the events manager chooses the MOs of the events and not the section. Why do you feel like it should be different in the national level regarding the biggest event of our federation, and taking into account that is really heavy on the strategy of ESN Portugal?
No, I think it's exactly what you mentioned in terms of being the biggest event of our federation. We believe that it should, like the point here of the electoral process is not to elect someone just for the sake of wanting to have an election. Is understanding that the electoral process brings ideas to the table, brings discussion to the table that this event desperately needs, brings visions, brings candidacies, and that is the point of doing an electoral process. Having someone represented by the federation also is important in terms of decision making, like every statutory body, so that's why they are elected. But yeah, this is not the end, like this is not the means, it's more about the end goal of the electoral process, is to have that discussion, that possibility of having a back and forth between you and a possible main organizer, you as a federation, that you rarely have, and that we feel it's needed.
I think you said before, but on a local level it's like harder for the people to know each other. So do you think it's like feasible to put the local levels electing someone that probably they don't know? And then of course you do a candidacy and you present all your ideas and everything that you want to do, but you can just write and then go for. And I think that in the national level with the strategy together, we have a more like open or bigger
vision of what the possibility of the MRO could be?
Like, I don't disagree completely, but I think it's also with any election of any kind that you happen at the national level, no? Like, you always are gonna judge someone based on their candidacy, and if they give you doubts, you have the room to question them. If you don't feel confident that someone can take on the role, you have the vote to, you have the power to vote whatever you feel like. So, I don't know, I cannot really answer because I don't feel it's any different than any other election, so, yeah.
And to add a small thing, this is why we took from the standing orders of the statutory positions the thing of the federation being able to remove this person, because it's exactly what's happening to every election. And what you said, if the next day leaves, at least we still have the power to make the change.
Inês José.
Hi, Inês José, Senador. This should be quick. But basically, I only raised this by WhatsApp with Pedro, but since it wasn't changed, I just want to check your opinion on this. Basically, the part about removal, it says it can be submitted by any federated member and not the national board itself. So I just wanted to know your opinion on whether the national board should be able to submit a motion for removal itself.
I think, like, let's just 1 second just for us discuss. This is okay, right? Yeah, I thought we thought it was probably a mistake in the writing. Also, for your comments in this week, it got lost in the email, was a bit of a mess, so that's why we had to text WhatsApp with Pedro. We are sorry. And we thought it was covered by that, like, we thought the national board will be covered by federated member. Claudia, can you explain if it's not covered?
Like, a person from the national board is not considered federate member?
No.
Okay, then we will add a provision, okay?
So we need to add.
But we will put any statutory body from this and Portugal.
Amazing. Okay, we finished. Okay, guys. Ok, malta, desculpem. Aqui sem fortes. Minho.
It's just very quick, and we would like to thank you for making this proposal. We are always asking for the sections to bring proposals, and despite we don't agree on some things, we would like to appreciate your efforts. Thank you guys.
Pedro, já vais ver.
Ok, malta.
Pedro, vamos já nas calças.
Oh, Edgar. Okay, as you know, we are with 1 hour of delay, okay? But let's try to be here maximum 7:30, 7:45 maximum, because we have to be in the hotel at 9, right? Okay? So we have 3 hours to do 8 candidacies, okay? Let's try to do our best. Guys, you made a lot of questions already in the Q&A. Please try to not to repeat the questions. We will have the questions in front of us and we'll be checking too. So let's try to give our best.
So, hello everyone, hello again. It is a very pleasure to me to be here in front of you presenting again my application for the presidency of ESN Portugal. First of all, I would like to say that everything that I put in my first application still remains valid, still remains my vision, and still remains what I aim to do and what I plan to do for ESN Portugal. However, in this application, I decided that it would not be worth it to copy and paste the same things for this application. So I just mentioned the things that I want to do with a slightly different vision, or with new things that I want to add. That being said, for those who still don't know me, I'm Pedro Almeida, I'm 24 years old, I'm from Lausanne, near Coimbra. I'm a PhD student right now at the University of Coimbra, and I did Erasmus in Warsaw in 2022. So my background, I joined ESN Coimbra in 2021. I went to the Events and Activities Department. I was to organize the beer pongs at ESN Coimbra. Then I was challenged to go to Partnerships Manager of ESN Coimbra, while I made my Erasmus period. And when I came back, I felt really the motivation needed to apply for president of ESN Coimbra, where I was 2 years. At the same time, I decided to apply for liaison officer for internationalization because I really liked the education field. And then I was also liaison officer for internal affairs in the next year, youth policy coordinator, and then president of ESN Portugal. And now let's see what the future brings. So, a little bit about my motivation. My motivation remains the exact same as last year. It was my Erasmus experience. These were my friends that made my Erasmus experience very special for me, and I still will miss them a lot. However, I want other people to have the same opportunities that I had to make my mobility. And my motivation in ESN is to make our volunteers capable of providing this same experience or even better for our international students. So, going on to my focal points. I have 3 focal points. So I have the 40 years of the Erasmus Plus program that will happen in 2027 that are already being prepared. I have the engagement of youth in changing the future, and of course the network engagement. So for the first focal point, I want to coordinate a national commemorative program. I think ESN Portugal should be the main youth voice in celebrating the Erasmus Plus program in Portugal. And with that, we also are planning a lot of events, a lot of initiatives that are going under this scope. We, for example, already have planned an event at the Portuguese Parliament in the International Student Day, in the 17th of November this year. We also have planning to launch a national Erasmus alumni mobilization campaign, because with the 40 years of the Erasmus program, we think that the feeling of nostalgia made create the feeling that people that made Erasmus 40 years ago want to apply right now for this project. We also plan to engage with political actors around the anniversary of the Erasmus program and produce an impact report on Erasmus in Portugal over the 40 years to, again, engage with the political actors, decision makers, and stakeholders of ESN Portugal. Moving on to my second focal point, I plan to promote diverse academic mobility opportunities, and not only academic, but also promote youth opportunities, youth mobility opportunities, as for example, the European Solidarity Corps. We are a sending organization which should strengthen this opportunity for our Portuguese young people, and also we can earn some profit from it. And also collaborate, of course, continue to collaborate with the European Commission and the European Parliament in Portugal. This has been reinforced this year, but there is a lot to do still. And of course, one thing that I really want to do is advocate for better visa and residence permit processes for international students, which is something that I'm very proud that ESN International is also very aligned with this process right now. Moving on to my focal point 3, it is regarding the network engagement and strengthening our federation, because if we are not strong inside, we can never make the impact that I mentioned, just mentioning the other 2 focal points of my application. So I want to plan to make all the support that I made this year, to still be an active listener, and also to increase ESN Portugal presence at ESN international events, to make our voice heard, and to make our ideas that are very good at ESN Portugal heard at ESN International and implemented there. I also want to strengthen ESN Portugal role in the international working structures, as we have, for example, Claudia in the working structure, working group for the revision of the statutes, but also in the ICE and other committees that we have in ESN, but also in the support positions of ESN International too. And I would also like to continue to support the section boards and local presidents, and invest a lot in volunteer recognition and well-being through a lot of initiatives that we can do, as for example, sending our support positions and our volunteers to events, to international events, the Lobos d'Ouro, the Highlight initiatives, and I think we can still have a lot to improve in this area, as we have mentioned during this National Assembly. So I will not take you more time, and I do everything, and all this application is based on this motto: more mobility, better mobility. So thank you so much for your attention.
Carolina Rodrigues.
Este bloco não, é o último.
Okay. Mel.
Hi, Pedro. So congratulations on your application. It and civil community, the advocacy job we want to do in this area. So basically, in some answers you gave at the GAF, you argued that engagement with embassies and consulates is exclusively a responsibility of the national level. However, many sections already have established relationships with embassies and with representative associations of the civil community students. And in Lisbon, for instance, we have successfully developed these partnerships over the last 2 years. So why not adopt a more collaborative approach where the Federation, specifically the President, leads the advocacy strategy, but sections help in a more hands-on way through their local expertise and existing networks, instead of drawing such a strict line between local and national responsibilities.
Yeah. So that topic was already discussed, I think, at the Lisbon, and I will give the exact same answer. Yes, and Portugal can strive and can strengthen the partnerships with these kind of stakeholders, with embassies and with the consulates. And we usually do it in a more national way, so to change policies, to change processes, not to direct impact on the international students, despite we also do it sometimes when sections come to us to ask for support. So the collaboration that you are mentioning between ESM Portugal and the ESM section, the ESM Portugal sections, could be in this phase. So if you want to have support from us to talk with an embassy at the national level for some matter that you need help, we can do it. We can also start the collaboration by for if it is the first time. But if you already have the collaboration, perfect, because you can also create these initiatives that have direct impact on international students. The only thing is, like, we would like as in Portugal to know if you are collaborating with them, because it would appear badly for ESN, not for just for ESN Portugal or ESN Lisboa in this case, for example. It would look bad if we do not look coordinated, because if we send an email to one embassy and then, like, in the next day, ESN Lisboa sends another email regarding, like, another subject or the same subject, it will seem like that we are not a network, and it cannot happen. And that's why I say that we should coordinate it at the national level. But it's just the coordination, it doesn't avoid that you can collaborate with them, because we have different roles and we can collaborate with them in different ways. I hope I covered your question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Carolina Santos, we saw your question, and Enrique and Pedro Machado, they made, where is Carolina?
Here.
And they made similar questions about the first mandate, so you can check in the GIF, okay? Okay, João Lima.
Yes, and João Lima, yes, and regarding the focal point 3 about the strengthening the ESN Portugal growth in the international level, how do you plan or intend to do that, and also what this point could benefit the federation?
So I have 3 things: is being continuously reactive at the national assemblies, at every meeting that we have within the national organizations, bringing topics and everything, and being more present that we have been until now in the community meeting events, and also at for example, other region platforms that we attend. Of course, we attend the SWEP, but we could also learn from other regions what are they training about what are they training their members about, which kind of best practices they are implementing and sharing, that we could also maybe learn some things from them and implement them at ESN Portugal. For example, these changes to the internal standing orders were inspired by best practices that we had from other NOs. And I think this collaboration within the ESN International could strengthen also our network inside ESN Portugal and outside ESN Portugal, because I believe that ESN Portugal also has a lot of good best practices to share with other NOs, and it could contribute for the whole well-being of ESN. I hope I covered your question. Thank you.
Philippe.
Can it be after all the...
Okay. Melo again. Policy papers.
I had one before that.
Yes, embassies and
No. Okay, whatever. I don't know.
Sorry.
So, yeah. Can you open the other one? Sorry.
Policy papers.
There was one of the
Is a policy policy papers one, right?
Yeah. I think it was the.
Okay, it's you.
the one.
Já aparece? E a sensor?
E a sensor?
Sim. Sorry.
Okay. So almost every year, ESN Portugal publishes the Portuguese partial report of the ESN survey. Yet I think it normally doesn't translate into the level of advocacy impact or policy changes that we would hope for in Portuguese mobility context. So what concrete strategies do you have to amplify the impact of this report and ensuring that it reaches not only the right stakeholders but it also has an effective contribution to meaningful changes rather than remaining just a publication?
Yes, thank you. That's something that I also noticed during the past few years that I was working with as a liaison officer. And something that I understand is that we can make the policy papers, but we cannot leave them at the desk, at our table. We have to present them actively to different stakeholders, not just one, to different stakeholders. And we need to coordinate that with other youth actors, policy actors in Portugal. For example, we have FAIR that represents the student academic student unions in Portugal. And if we coordinate the efforts with them, we may have we push, they push. If a lot of other organizations push in the same direction, maybe they start to understand, okay, this is really a need that we need to overcome. For example, now, I'm like my biggest flag right now is the budget of the grants for the Portuguese outgoing mobility students. That is really low compared to the other ones of other member states of the European Union. And it's something that the state, the deputies of the Portuguese Parliament, the European members of the members of the European Parliament, the Institute for Higher Education, the group CISP and everything, they already acknowledged it. It's just in terms of executing it. And I would love to see that executed. But how do we turn this into impact? It's just continue to push it, and push it, like until it goes. Basically, it's the only way that we have to make policy. We need to go to different stakeholders a lot of times.
Okay, I propose to close the speakers list.
I have one more.
Okay, I know, but you are still adding? Okay, okay, so please join your two questions, and you can do the second one you have. No. The one about the policy papers?
Yes.
You can say it now.
So it's kind of in line with what I asked about the ESN survey report, but in both your applications you have proposed to add new policy papers or advocacy documents. And while this is really good and it's a proactive way to engage in discussions on international mobility, these documents often risk just being outputs of ESN Portugal rather than drivers of real change. So how would you ensure that future policy papers translate into concrete action and long-term impact instead of simply adding another document to ESN Portugal's portfolio?
I think it goes, maybe I misunderstood the question, but I think it goes very line with what I just said. However, I have one other example to give. For example, we made this year the manifesto, I think it was a manifesto, for the youth, for the right to vote of the outgoing mobility students. And it had a major impact. It was very thankful for the international students, the outgoing international students that we represent. And also, it was very actively listened by the government. We even received a letter from the Prime Minister, and we also were contacted by the National Elections Council and from the how it translates to Portuguese, Internal Administration Ministry. That we really hope that it will change, especially because I'm not saying that it was announced in the next day because of our manifesto, but it was like in the next day or in the next week. We had an announcement from the government saying that we will have the opportunity for these people to vote electronically. So in the future.
Really short.
Okay.
So, although I do think that one was a huge success, it was from previous experiences, I think the policy papers don't have a very long life and don't really go into change. So, although this one was a success, I just wanted to understand more of your strategy for the next ones, how to keep them having impact.
Is to continue to
showcase them to a lot of stakeholders and not being on the desk. Because to be completely honest with you, most of the times these papers that we have already have some approved are under the desk, are on the desk, and sometimes they get outdated, and because the proposals that we proposed there already happened, or happen different proposals that culminated in solving that problem. So we need to update the ones that we already have, and we also need to make new ones with new proposals and new recommendations. Always having in mind, and my vision for the policy papers of ESN, they should not be a very big policy paper, this should not be a very big document, despite the partial report of ESN Survey will have to be, because we have a lot of data, but we should take out the data of this partial report and make smaller position papers to make sure that people will actually listen and read and not say like, oh, what a pretty big document, and say that, okay, thank you so much, I will put it in the desk and not to look again. Because that's also feedback that I received from some stakeholders that said that you need to focus. You need to focus in 1, 2, 3 things that you want to aim for, and then when you can accomplish that, you go for the next ones. Not everything at the same time, because it does not demonstrate that you do not have the maturity to understand what is in cause. So I really believe that this is the vision that ESN Portugal will strive for.
Okay, let's try to use the system of 30 seconds for the question and 1 minute for the answer. Nuno, your answer has already been covered by me, Joe, and Inês in the GIF, okay? So, Edgar.
So, first of all, congratulations for your candidacy again. We really like this. For the project, the survival guide has more than 10 years. However, for example, we don't have the same recognition like Parte from the Ministério da Educação. What are your plans regarding this topic, since we are starting talking about project digitalization? What do you think about this topic?
So that's a very good question, and you are putting me in a very difficult spot because the answer is, I will start by the users part. Yes, and Portugal still has a lot of, I will be honest, still has a lot of work to do in political matters. We, for years and years, were very close inside, in our federation, in our things, in our events, and which is good, which has a very direct impact on international students. However, at ESN Portugal and the advocacy of ESN Portugal, we need to step up a little bit and go to the national level if we want to change something. And by being close inside our federation, we have no recognition. We are starting to get some, but we have no recognition of what we do. Our job is not recognized by these ministries. In this case, like FAP, basically it's something that imagine, I'm not saying that this happened, but imagine that the ministry creates an association to help them. Of course they will recognize them.
Okay, I propose to close the speakers list. Okay, last question is the one of Mel, and please don't add any more. If you want, you can say it, Mel, and then you write.
Yes.
You can also have the copy there.
30 seconds.
Okay, so adding into account the midterm report that we saw in the morning, we see that many points are still at 0% on the advocacy side, for example, cooperation with Conselho Coordenador de Institutos Técnicos and Inspectors, etc. So where is your plan to get these points going and to achieve a good percentage until the end of the year?
Yeah, that's actually very easy. I already, as liaison officer, made it in the past. I think I will repeat the same process because it went well. It was very well received, the indications that the recommendations that we gave. And so we need to, as you said, we have these position papers that are not touched. We need to update them and go to them again and say, okay, we have the updated documents with the updated recommendations that we have, and we want you to defend them too. And we schedule a meeting with them, we send them an email, we schedule a meeting, we have the meeting, and then we have another meeting in the future to see the evolution of it. I think that's it.
Okay. You can send me them by WhatsApp, okay? Carolina. Ah, ok. Então não queres dizer nada, não é?
Eu quero dizer no fim.
Ah, no fim? Pronto, ok. Fica aí, Paula.
Hi Pedro, so I'm
going to read because you already know how I am. I'm genuinely so happy to see you taking this step towards the second term. You've done an incredible job this year, and I'm certain that another will only strengthen both you and yes and Portugal. You're a true example of professionalism with a clear vision and undeniable commitment. Every single day you prove that you're exactly the right person for this role. Last year, I was worried I would miss having you by my side in the national platforms. But your posture and the way that you carried out this role made it feel as though this had always been where you belonged. Thank you for representing me as a queen. I hope you know just how proud all of us are of you. I love you a lot and I'm wishing you the very best of luck in this life. You got this.
Now I'm nervous.
Okay, Carolina.
Okay, so from me, from Navi, from Miguel, from Sari, from Edgar, I'm also going through. We know that you don't like this type of stuff, but we couldn't let this moment slide without saying some words. We are so proud to see you reapply for a position that is made for you. As the mandate is ending, we see that your commitment, love, and passion for this federation still remain the same, if not more stronger than ever. It was an absolute pleasure working with you this year. You did an amazing job, and we are confident that you are capable to do more. However, please start saying no more often and try to spend a week at your house, please. Thank you for being our anchor throughout this year, for your leadership, for your compassion, and for most important, your friendship. We love you so much.
Thank you. I couldn't do it without you.
Okay, Matilde Pisa. Malta.
So, hey everyone, I'm here today to present you my candidacy for Treasurer of ESN Portugal. For the ones who do not know me, I'm Matilde Cupido, the Treasurer of ESN Coimbra. I'm 22 years old and I'm from Pocapina, a small village in Coimbra, where I'm part of a folk group for 19 years. I started my studies in pharmaceutical sciences in 2021, and then in 2023 I did my Erasmus in Bologna. That was an experience that completely changed me, and the volunteers from ESN Bologna were the main cause why I joined ESN Coimbra. Being a volunteer of ESN has given me the will to take this step further for our international students, but also for our volunteers, because being in this position, it's really important to empower our sections. Regarding my ESN path, I officially joined ESN Coimbra in February 2024 as a member of the Activities Department. Later in September, I became the sub-coordinator of the Activities Department. In May, I was also the section delegate of ENM 2005, and then in August, I became the treasurer of ESN Coimbra. Right after, in September, I was the one responsible for the financial management of LBM Coimbra, and in October, I was chosen to be part of the OC of ENM 2026 as the member responsible for the nighttime activities. Right now, I'm already managing the finances of the future NP Coimbra. Regarding my first focal point, the ESN card digitalization transition. So you can be aware, Portugal is one of the countries chosen to start the digitalization in the beginning of 2027. This is a huge exchange for our federation, and my first point is to bring back the national ESN card team with a member of IT, so they can work side by side to solve all the technical challenges that might happen. Also, this team will be responsible to our local sections with the event of transition, because we will be forced to use a new system developed by ESN International. So the tab of ESN card will no longer be available to use. I also want to improve our strength as ESN Portugal, allowing more and more international students to have access to an ESN card, even if they are doing their mobility in a city that there's no ESN section. This, as you can imagine, will also make them have more questions about the ESN card. That's why I also intend to develop a fact system to help our to improve our student support and their user experience, and also to facilitate the work of the secretary that are the ones who are responsible for that right now. With the new system, we are also expecting to analyze the data that we can analyze with the Event Hub, and even more data eventually to allow us to have take better decisions. Regarding my second focal point, commercial partnerships. Of course, we need to keep empowering our currently partnerships, because they are one of the reasons of our sustainability, and we have to keep our partners because they are the ones who also help. One of my first measures is to search for new high-impact partnerships with additional value that are aligned with our values. That's why I mentioned Santander and Rich Presso. Also, another point is the partnerships related to our national events like ENF and ENG, to secure partnerships that dedicated to these events, allowing the teams to have the responsible teams for the partnerships to have time to look to other partnerships that don't have sense to be long-term partnerships. And my third point is the communication and the visibility of our partnerships. I intend to work with the communication manager to improve our survival guides and turn them more attractive to our sponsors, and also to use the social media to understand the preferences and priorities of our international students. By enhancing, this will enhance the ESN card value, upgrading also the international students' experience. The last focal point is the BFC community. So you can be aware, this community was basically dead in 2026. We didn't have one single community meeting, and now all the 3 positions are vacant. So my first point is to revitalize the engagement within the community. So if I got elected, I'll do my best not to let this happen again, because I'll commit myself to host the community, to host the monthly meetings, even if the positions remain vacant, opening a space for the sections to share their problems, their best practices, and also to discuss partnerships and other matters. I also intend to develop a treasurer's working group separately than the one that we have already, like simple WhatsApp groups, so the treasurers can share their sensitive problems that sometimes are not shared in the community. By creating this safe space and bringing back our regular meetings, I'm sure we'll become a more structured community that can empower our local section. Regarding my vision, it is based on sustainability, innovation, and proximity. Strengthen the federation by the sustainability by strengthening the federation throughout our sustainable growth, developing strategic partnerships that will enhance our students' experience and also allowing this more sustained financial sustainability. With the digitalization, we will also be able to embrace new opportunities, and by revitalizing the BFC community, we will empower our local sections and so that no section feels left behind. And that's it.
Okay, the speakers list is open. Does anyone have some questions? Okay, do it now and you write it after.
Okay. Hello, first of all, congratulations on behalf of myself and myself. My question is regarding the digitalization process. It's a point that you really focus in your candidacy, and you say that Portugal is one of the first countries that will be implementing this digitalization part. I have some questions regarding that, like on behalf of that, because how do you know that we are one of the first ones that will be implementing all of this? How do you know if the process can be made like that?
Comment
a bit more.
Can I? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so about this, ESN International developed a huge document where they explains all the processes, and ESN Portugal was chosen to be one of the sections because we are one of the countries with less sections, and so basically they split all the national organizations in groups. So yeah, that's basically they chose in Portugal because one of then I'll get sorry. About all the process, yeah, they explain everything. So how it should be implemented in our national organization, and what they suggest, or they say that first we should, if the process starts, because it should have started already in 2026. The onboarding in some countries, and it did not start. If it starts in the beginning of 2027, the international will have training with one of the chosen section in Portugal, decided by the national board, international board, to start implementing this process. And then my idea is that with the ESN card team, the ESN card team will help moving the process to the other sections, because the ESN International will only intervene in the first section in our country, and then the work is a internal procedure to give that.
Okay, João Lima.
Hello, João Lima, ESN Castelvestre. Thank you so much for your presentation, and also I'm very glad to see your application. Taking in consideration that the actual mandate was with an interim basis, what would be, like in your vision, based on your application and also the action plan, what would be the biggest challenge for you stepping up on this position?
Even Sarah was an intern. I believe she did what she had to do, complying with her responsibilities. So I think that will be a huge challenge for me. Of course, being the treasurer of a local section and being the treasurer of ESN Portugal is completely different. So I have to be onboarded to fully understand my duties. But let's see, regarding my action plan, that's it.
Okay, is anyone else adding? Because Nuno wants to be the last one. Okay, you can do the question, yes.
Even, probably the ESN card transition, because this is something new, even for ESN International, even the platform is not finished yet. They don't know what will be our problems. As being one of our first countries to start this process, we might find some bugs. The sections will have to adaptate their process because it's a huge change. So that will certainly be my biggest challenge. Sorry, no.
Okay, Inês.
Okay, so I haven't finished my hello, Inês Reis and Boa. So, first of all, thank you for presenting, and I have to say I really like your reply in the GIA. So this is also about one of the replies to Pedro's question on transparency. You were talking about having reports to provide the Federation more information on how money is spent. And right now we have the budgets that we are doing in GA. We have the complex spreadsheets that what the team is checking. So in your vision, what is reports look like? How can they provide information that's transparent but at the same time not too full?
Okay, I think this could be one thing that we could share during the committee calls, because first I will have to understand what the sections want to find out more about. So because of course I will not do a resume of all the minimum expenses we have or all the minimum procedures we have, because that would of course be boring or does not make sense also. So I think to know how to answer you, I will need to understand what are the priorities of the sections, to understand what do you want, like the better one.
Maria,
Hi, Marina Souza from USM.
louder please.
Sorry. So I know that the partnership promotions is something that you have to align with the social media manager, but I would like to know your ideas for a better social media use to promote the partnerships, and I want to know what you want to continue to promote, and what do you think that were the biggest gaps this year?
Okay, regarding that, I think that first we have to be aligned with our partners to understand what they demand from us, so what has to be shared and what does not have to be shared in our social media. And about data, I think that it also it's on the communication manager duties, because I might have an idea, but I don't know how social media work and how we engage our students, because I would like to share everything, but in communication mind, then will not work for our international students, because if we start sharing all our partnerships, it will become spam and they won't for it. So
Is anyone else adding to the speakers list? So I propose. Okay, so one more question, and I propose to close the speakers list. Okay. So Pedro, it's you, or is?
Can you give me 10 seconds?
Okay.
Please.
Okay.
This can be weird. So in your candidacy, you mentioned a lot restructuring the survival guide. Given that this is a tense topic that we talked in various MPs and we had discussions in the board and everything about the sections expenses, global sections expenses, about this situation, and your candidacy focuses a lot on digitalization. Did you ever think of an approach regarding the digitalization also on the survival guide?
I don't think I understood.
You're talking about so in your candidacy you talk about the survival guides and you want to update them make them a rebranding and restructuration of the survival guide, but still on paper.
Okay. Still on paper. It does not have to be on paper. We are improving our digital survival guide. I don't think that right now we can just stop producing the physical survival guide, because we also depend them on, like, Yorn is one of the partnerships we have, so we have duties. And also for the universities, not having survival guides might be eventually a problem, like stopping this process. Repete outra vez. Saying that as a
And
can
that's
answer
all
that.
on that, and then, okay. I'm not saying that just physical survival guides should just stop and become all digital because of all the consequences that might have, but have you ever thought about doing that in your main division possible with also the digitalization of the SN curve? Do you think it makes sense to start to build towards that path?
So if that allow us to atingir more students, to allow us to contribute more students, that be a benefit for ESN Portugal and for the international students that are doing mobility in Portugal, why not? We could, of course, it is an advantage for us to improve the digital survival guide so we can have a bigger impact.
Okay, no.
So, the question was, and not the right thing because I did it on Saturday.
Because you don't cry.
So I'm just going to wait. It's better for me. So, you know, I've already told you in person, but we are genuinely so proud to see you take this role and this step forward. And this candidacy is the perfect reflection of your devotion to ESN. Knowing firsthand how capable you are, I have no doubts that you have the potential to embrace the challenge. Your commitment and dedication serve as an inspiration to all of us in Coimbra, and it's so amazing to see someone who began this road with me, aiming higher and running for the national board. Thank you for everything you gave to Coimbra. You've left your mark in a truly unique and special way. And to end, I can only wish you the greatest luck in the world, and know that Coimbra is and always be with you.
Okay. Guys, I want to make a proposal because Beatriz Batista is facing some problems because the place where she is going to close at 6. So I want to propose to do now the candidacy presentation of Beatriz Batista. So that's the purpose. Eu sei, calma.
Sorry, you are saying to switch the...
So we do now, before the coffee break, we do the presentation of Beatriz. And then we continue normal coffee break.
Okay.
Yes, basically, yes. Sorry. Okay, ESN Açores. ESN Aveiro.
Yes.
ESN Castelo Branco.
Yes.
ESN Coimbra.
Yes.
ESN Covilhã.
Yes.
ESN Évora. ESN Lisboa.
Yes.
ESN Minho.
Yes.
ESN Porto.
Yes.
ESN Otávio. Até te levantaste. Ok. Deixa eu só confirmar. Vocês não nos deixam pensar, é impressionante. Quando é que isto acaba, pá? Esquece.
Cada vez que ele penteou-se no pão de fora. Espera, deixa eu ver se ficou bem. Deu uma... Só vocês.
Depois eu acho que acaba as pessoas.
Só se ela tiver a leite. Imagina.
Mas nós podemos estar aqui, olhar para ti se quiseres. Gosto.
Sim, esse não.
Uau!
Eu acho que agora já está a Olha, fala, Beatriz, só para testar.
Alô, boa tarde.
Ok, então quando quiseres podes começar.
Ok, malta, se ouvirem coisas à volta, ignorem. Basicamente é isto. So, hello everyone. First of all, I would like to wish everyone a very successful FP and extend my best wishes to the other candidates for their hard work. And now I shall begin my presentation by addressing two initial points. The first one is a reason for my physical absence from Minho, and secondly, the fact that, as you may have already observed, I do not have a prepared visual presentation. Okay, so the first topic basically is that given my profession involves live performances, long before I ever imagined candidating myself for this position, I had already accepted a contract here in Lisbon, and because musicians are poor, which is me, I cannot just afford to turn down work, so that's why I'm in Lisbon and not in Minho. The second part of my topic is that while reflecting my presentation, although preparing a visual aid would make it easier to guide the topics that would be addressed to you, the fact is that I'm already participating online and it produces the proximity between us, and so that's a value that I heavily emphasized in my candidacy. And so for that reason, I decided to present myself here. Hello everyone, that's me, and that's going to be me that you're going to see, and I hope you enjoy it. But if you catch me reading, I'm just reading my cheat sheets because I didn't want to fall into saying the wrong things to you guys. Okay, so now for the popular managers. I'm Beatriz, I'm 36 years old, and right now I'm the president of right now, no, not anymore, but I was, until June, the president of the sharing team and HR support position for LXXVIII, and I've entered LXXVIII in 2023. I became the vice president in 2024 and president in 2025. Basically, my candidacy was based on bridging the gap, so transparent communication between national and local boards, and also humanizing ESN, which is connects everyone, because I feel like we have lost our connections in between. And so humanize ESN, local and national board, and stick to the motto students helping students, which is basically the thing I most said in my Q&A answers that I gave to everyone in this. So my focal points are three. The first one is basically simplifying administrative processes, which is conducting a comprehensive review of our administrative tasks and see where we are kind of falling into like gaps that can be simplified, that can be made more effective. And for that, I will do a tailored approach. So I will meet individually each section and map out their specific concerns and try to map out also a way to go around and to make sure that it gets as easy as possible for us to have access. As LXXVIII, we have actually never used many of the tools that we could ever use, so we didn't have the access or the knowledge that we actually have that information. For the second focal point, it's optimizing internal organization. So we have two folders. We have the ESN National Boards folder, internal folder, and we have the shared folder. And my priority would be to basically organize those two folders, which are currently kind of not organized, but basically they have a lot of info, they are not categorized, and they're not simplified as we could simplify them to make it easier access for all of us. And then on my second point that I actually added to this focal one was the digital infrastructure, which was to explore transferring the databases to a website platform, which afterwards I answered to a Q&A saying that it would be impossible for it because the ESN account is actually from ESN International. But it would be basically the same goal, which is to organize, categorize, and make it to easier access and for everyone to know how to use it really simple, easy way, and to everyone actually use it. Because the LXXVIII is kind of one example that knows that it exists, but actually does not have like the time or maybe the best ways to approach it. And for the third and last focal point is the integration of new sections, which is basically doing an onboarding playbook for ESN associates which just entered and also Santarém, basically for them to be welcome and to know all the steps to be inside ESN and be inside the federation. And for that, I would also continue the network care team and what their path have been until now. I have actually, I support all of the network care plan that has been planned out last year, and I would like to see it come true and actually to continue their work. And I think that's
eu fiz bem. Hoje. Vá. Questions. But if you want, you can do it now.
Can you hear me? Yeah, question.
Consegue. Se calhar aproxima-te, é melhor.
Ok. Mas é de tablets? É da...
Pode ser em frente. Podes ficar aqui em frente à câmera. Vá,
Aqui?
sim, sim.
Okay, hi, Beatriz. It was Claudia Marques, president of the National Audit Team. It was very nice to hear your candidacy. I really liked it, and I liked the way you approach it. I have a specific question, and that's why it's because it's as in the sequence of my role as president of the audit team that I'm making this question. On your focal point 3, that you mentioned that you want to create this entering manual for new federated members, it's a great idea. I want to ask you if you consider to adding like models of the documents in that manual you want to write. For example, after 1 year of reviewing duties of federated members, there are, for example, the action plan, or the budgets reports, or these mandatory documents that the local sections need to have. Most of the times, there are sections that don't have already good and solid and model of the documents that they can reuse year after year, and sometimes they face difficulties in understanding how to build these documents for their local sections, and that's why I was asking this. So in order to help them, of course.
Okay, I'm just asking you to please reformulate again your question. Just some of your questions.
My question is if you want to include in this booklet for new sections models of mandatory documents, for example, an action plan.
Okay, thank you for your question. Renata from Minho already made that question on the Q&A before, and I said yes, of course. So I was going to plan the onboarding playbook in 3 main stages: the pre-integration, the active onboarding, and the follow-up. And the documentation to support these stages could also cover all of that. Of course, the minimum requirements, the duties. It would have to be like basically an obligation, because in order to be consistent and be inside the federation, they have to be able to have access and to know and have all of the knowledge on those documents. So of course that would be included, yes.
Maria Souza.
The questions are mine. I just couldn't find the internet, not on my phone or my computer. Sorry.
Hey,
Hi Beatriz, congratulations on your candidacy. I have 2 questions. The first one is, you mentioned working with the expansion officer, so hi, me, to continue to support the work that has been done with the ESN Açores and the continuous communication on next steps. I agree that if we are creating packages and templates for informal groups and for candidate sections, any section in the federation could benefit from it should they ever need them. However, that is not the same as following up on continuous next steps once a section actually enters the federation. As the tasks are written and the competences, basically, the tasks and competences of the expansion officer end where the work of the network care officer starts, kind of. Given that, and given how the current expansion strategy ends this year, so you will have to formulate a new one, is your plan to integrate follow-up processes into the new expansion strategy? And if so, does it pass by changing the structure and division of tasks within that process?
Again, I'm going to ask you to sum up again the question. I'm sorry. It's just to make sure that I'm understanding the questions right, because
Yes, so basically,
the sound is not perfect.
No worries. So what I asked was more or less, given how you said that you wanted to integrate the expansion officer into the follow-up process, or work with the expansion officer to do that follow-up process. And that's not kind of how the tasks are described as they are right now, but you will have to do a new expansion strategy, you and supposedly me as well as expansion officer within this mandate. But for 27, 29, given how the previous was 24, 26, if you are planning on integrating this process of follow-up into your new expansion strategy, and if that passes by basically creating new tasks as well, or dividing tasks differently between the network care officer and the expansion officer.
Okay, so I assume that I'm actually listening to the right question. So I believe that follow-up needs to have like the expansion officer just to overview, like, okay, it's going well, but I don't think it's actually your job. I believe it's like the part of the network care team that actually takes on that, and that gives the continuity of it. And I've also mentioned on the Q&A that the network care team wouldn't be chosen by, oh, it's you, it's you, it's you. No, it would be chosen by the most approachable and the most successful persons that actually have been managing all of the strategy, the follow-up inside each section. So I don't think it's an expansion officer obligation. I think it's just like you can overview and you can give your opinion, but it's not your job specifically. And I believe it's the network care team that has to take off on that, because it's like the follow-up. It's like the year before. So it's kind of like, I'm already in the federation, I'm already working my way up to the top, I'm already knowing how this stuff works. It's just to make sure that it goes well with the network care team. And the expansion officer, maximum, can just give the number to you and say, okay, I like your strategy, or maybe not, but it's not your job specifically. I don't know if I answered correctly your question.
Yes, the other part is if then the expansion strategy would integrate the network care officer, then that process of follow-up in itself, the new expansion strategy.
Again, I don't believe it's necessary. I just believe that once you're the expansion officer...
Sorry, I'm not sure if I said expansion officer that first time. I was asking if in the new expansion strategy you would include the network care officer. This is more straightforward.
Okay. I think it would be, it would make sense to add it, but not as an obligation actually. As I mentioned, it's just to overview and to see what you think about it. But I wouldn't add it because it's not your actual job. Okay. So I wouldn't defer the expansion strategy, because I believe you already have a position, you already have a job, and I believe that any person that comes to the position of expansion officer will have the worry of seeing if it's going well after your job is done, and with other person peeking on it, you know?
Yes, thank you. So my second question, no, you answered it, don't worry. My second question is again about the expansion strategy, because you mentioned expansion in your candidacy. So the mission that was established for the 24-26 strategy was, and I am quoting, by 2026, ESN Portugal will be providing services and support in all the 18 Portuguese districts and archipelagos by being represented by a local section. Given how we have entered the second half of 2026 and we have only one ongoing process of expansion, which will have amounted to almost 2 new sections in that period of 2024-2026, almost 2, because even if in the quickest path possible, we could only have an ESN Santarém from 27 onward. Is it safe? It is safe to say that that will not have been accomplished, not nearly. Do you think it was an unrealistic idea? And if so, what is your idea of a more realistic and sustainable expansion strategy for 27-29?
Okay, so again, can you reformulate on a question, please? And I'm so sorry for asking
don't worry. No worries. Okay, so in my view, I think that it was unrealistic. Thinking in 2 years we would have an ESN section in each of the 18 districts and archipelagos, but that was what was written as the mission for the last expansion strategy. I'm asking if you think it's unrealistic, But I am asking your view of what a realistic and sustainable expansion strategy would be for the next one.
Okay, so let me see if I can say what I'm thinking in my head. Well, I don't think it's unrealistic. I think it's necessary for the federation to grow, to have higher standards, because we are actually growing to someplace. But that's my opinion as a personal, as my person, not like as a ESN or as SM candidate myself for the VPE position. I also think that the expansion strategy is more for the VPT position and not for me. So I just don't want to take like an actual and upfront opinion on that, since it's not my actual focus and my job for right now. It can be in the future if we don't have a VPD in the future, but for now I cannot answer you honestly on that because I cannot have a real position as VPD.